Welcome to Wilson's third interactive ingredient box. Today we're going to be cooking rump of lamb wrapped in fig leaves with a sauce made from lamb bones, fig leaf oil, some asparagus, some kohlrabi with chard from our farm, and then an amazing flatbread cooked in lamb fat with crispy lamb shoulder on top and some pickled vegetables from our farm. So let's see what we've got in the bag. Start off with this amazing rump of lamb. Once again, this is from our friends at Popty and Beast. It's been dry aged for us in a salt chamber. I'm really looking forward to cooking this. Some asparagus. This is from just up the road. It's right now smack bang in the middle of asparagus season, so we're just going to cook this really, really simply, blanched in salted water. These are our fig leaves. Not many people cook with these, but I think they're one of the best ingredients that you can forage from around, the streets and the countryside. They are delicious, an amazing nutty flavour, almost like pistachio, and I love pairing it with lamb. This monstrosity is kohlrabi. Once again, we've teamed up with Reg the Veg in Clifton, and he's sourcing us some fantastic produce like this kohlrabi, grown not far away from here. We're going to cook it. A lot of people serve these raw, but they're delicious cooked, and they go so well with lamb. We've got some rainbow chard. This is from our farm, grown by Wilson's Market Garden. So we're just really pleased to be sharing this amazing stuff with you. So next, we've got this flatbread dough. We're gonna roll this out together and bake it in the pan that we cooked our lamb in to get all of those amazing juices into the flatbread. We're then gonna cover it with crispy braised lamb shoulder. A couple of bags of pickled vegetables. Once again, these are from Wilson's Market Garden. We've got some small carrots here, some little beetroot that will be delicious and cut through that incredibly fatty lamb shoulder. We've got this amazing lamb sauce made with old red wine, raspberry vinegar and lamb bones. And then this star of the show, in my opinion, this is the fig leaf oil. We're going to warm these up and split them together and cover our roasted lamb rump in them. It's going to be absolutely delicious. We've got this amazing braised lamb shoulder, which is already ready for you to go. We're going to crispen that guy up in the oven and make it delicious. Last but not least, a couple of calendula flowers, just to finish off the crispy lamb bread and make the whole dish look lovely and pretty. So guys, this is the wine that we've decided to pair with your lamb and fig leaf dinner today. You've got a Syrah 2016 made by Francois Villard. Francois Villard used to be a chef, so he really knows about pairing wine and food. This made to organic principles with low intervention. It's a delicious food wine. It's from a small 64 hectare estate, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's going to go so well with your lovely lamb dish today. We've got our fantastic ingredients. Let's get into the kitchen and smash it all together. So a couple of things that we're going to need today. A nice little knife like this. I use a paring knife. They're about £3 from kitchen shops, and they're really useful. They also double up as a screwdriver if you need. A peeler like this. This is called a speed peeler. It's much easier to handle, and it's great for doing fine work with vegetables. A couple of frying pans over here. Big one, little one, and a chauffe-on, or a pot of boiling water. Okay guys, so I've got our oven over here, preheated to 160 degrees. With lamb, you don't want to smash it too hard. There's a lot of fat in there. We want to render it slowly, okay? So our first job is going to just be popping this lamb shoulder in the oven, letting it warm up and start to crispen on the outside and caramelize. This braised lamb, it's ready to go. We just want to get it cooked again so we can tear it and put it all over the top of the flatbread that's been cooked in those delicious roasting juices. So open your bag, straight into a roasting tray with any juices that are present in the bag. It's all good stuff. And just pop it in like that. Now it's not the prettiest thing to look at, but as this starts to cook slowly and caramelize and the liquid starts to reduce, that will all get lovely and sticky. And that's just what you want from a slow braised bit of lamb. I'm going to add just a touch of salt to the top of the lamb to help it on its way and make sure it's delicious and nicely seasoned. Pop it in the oven, and you can just forget about him. I'm thinking 35 minutes, maybe even 40. Over here we have this amazing kohlrabi. They are wonderful. Most people like to chop them up, thinly slice them and put them raw in salads or coleslaws. Not many people cook them, but that's a shame because when you cook them, they are delicious. They're full of moisture, refreshing and amazing. You got these leaves. As I'm sure you're aware now, we hate wasting anything at Wilson's. So we'll keep these back and we'll use the tops of them later on with the same dish. Over to our kohlrabi. Now you can peel it. I'm going to use a knife because I find it easier. So I'm just going to go around like this, turning the kohlrabi. They've got quite a thick layer of skin. It's not just the outside of it. You've got to get quite far into it to find the flesh. And this part over here. Right, so we have our peeled kohlrabi like that. Peelings, please compost them or give them to your chickens if you're lucky enough to have chickens. Then we're going to just break it down with your nice big knife into eighths. So you've got all your lovely little chunks of kohlrabi. I'm just going to go over them again with this knife and just trim them up so you've got a lovely edge. It's amazing how much food you actually get from a kohlrabi if you utilise it all. In the restaurant, it's always important that we work left to right, if you're right-handed, or right to left. It's just a good way of keeping clean and organised. Most restaurants are incredibly small, so utilising your space is really important. It helps you work in an organised and clean fashion. That being said, I'm probably one of the messiest people I know, so I have to force myself to do stuff like this. So I've got a bowl here for my trimmings, I've got my raw product, and I've got my finished product over here. So work through nice and gently. Don't rush it, you know. Just take your time and, you know, enjoy doing it. We've got a lot of time on our hands at the moment, so we might as well use it productively. You've got a nice little pan here, good solid base on it. We're going to colour our kohlrabi off in that. So what I want you to do, get a bit of oil in the pan, heat it up, start the kohlrabi off, then we're going to finish them with some butter, get some lovely colour on them and put them to one side and we'll warm them through the oven later on with some chard. Just a little bit of oil, perfect. Give it a second. You can see with oil in a pan that when it hits the pan, it moves around slowly. As the temperature in the pan comes up, the oil will be more fluid and travel around the pan a lot faster. It's a great way of seeing how hot the pan is without burning yourself. So, pan's ready. You don't want it too hot, but you're gonna just pop them in. Now it's really important to make sure you pick a side which you're gonna caramelize it on, and that's your presentation side, okay? Going in like that. Lovely. They've not got too many in the pan. There's space in between them all so that they can move around and do their thing. I'm now just going to add a little bit of salt, not too much. It'll probably take about 5 minutes. Get a nice bit of colour on them, but they'll still be raw in the middle. So we'll finish them with some butter, pop them in the oven and finish roasting them there, okay? While our kohlrabi's colouring over here, we're just going to nappe our lamb. We're going to pour the juice back over the top and make sure it stays moist whilst it's crisping up. With a dry towel, grab your lamb out. Yeah, nice things are happening over here. At the moment it doesn't look like much, but it will get there, and this process really helps get the caramels going correctly. So just a little bit of juice back over the top, like that. And if you repeat this process every 5 minutes or 10 minutes whilst you're cooking, it'll get stickier and more unctuous, and it'll just be delicious. It's a really important thing. And it's what makes the difference between restaurant cooking and home cooking, is this attention to detail, making sure that we put as much effort into braising a piece of lamb as we do into roasting a fine fillet of it. Kohlrabi's getting there. I can see that it's coming along nicely. Just going to check it. Ah, there you go. Nice bit of colour there. And that smell that's coming off is amazing, like almost like a radish, which is important because kohlrabis are actually part of the radish family. So there you go. Nice bit of colour there. We're just going to add a little bit of butter, and that's going to help bring everything along. I mean, butter's always a good thing to have with everything all the time because it's delicious. So not too much. In we go. Just let them get to know each other. Just met, they want to have a little party. Perfect. The butter will reduce the heat in the pan as well, which is important because if it goes in and it's too hot, it'll just burn and be horrible. Okay, so we're going to just pop these in the oven now, only for about 5 minutes. They're an incredibly fresh vegetable, so if you overcook them, they'll just turn to nothing. So 5 minutes in the oven, and we'll start cooking our lamb. I want you to turn the heat of the pan down, and I've got a nice big pan, which seems counterintuitive. When you're roasting a piece of meat, you want to use a small pan to almost fit the size, so you keep all the juices in. But because we're then going to cook a flatbread in this afterwards, I want to try and use a nice big pan. Grab your lamb and grab your fig leaves because you're going to need both of these for this part of the dish, okay? So we're going to season the lamb liberally. Flesh side first, good amount of salt, and then a good amount of salt in the fat. Once again, pop it into the pan like that and turn the heat up. We're going to try and crispen up some of this delicious lamb fat, get it golden brown, and then finish off the flesh side, okay? So turn the heat up just a little bit and let it start doing its thing. Now we're going to grab our kohlrabi out of the oven. They look lovely. Just with a knife, checking to see the resistance. You still want a bit of resistance, but not too much. Yeah, that is wonderful. Now I'm going to let them sit in the pan because there's all that beautiful roasted butter and kohlrabi juice that we'll use later on to finish the dish. So our lamb's starting to fizzle, which is a good sign. Once again, we're not starting this on a raging high heat. We'll bring it up slowly. We're trying to render some of the fat out of the lamb, which we're going to need for our flatbread. And it's also going to help the lamb crispen up. We'll then flip it over, colour the skin, and wrap it in these leaves and then bake it in the oven. Starting to see it get golden brown on the sides. That's what you want. Double check my lamb shoulder. Lovely. Have a little taste, make sure you're happy with it. Oh, so lammy. This is taking its time, as it should. You can see it's getting really lovely, but we still got a way to go. Now remember when you're cooking, yeah? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Enjoy what you're doing. Take your time with it. The product you get at the end will be so much better. Just investigating over here. I don't think we're going to be able to take that much further without absolutely burning it. So let's bang the heat up again because we're going to caramelize the flesh side now. So give your pan a minute to get raging hot. You got your fig leaves ready to go. So this is the fast part of the process. We want to caramelize this flesh as quickly as we can without cooking the meat through. So 1, 2, 3, bang it in. Spoon, and I always like to move my meat around the pan so I can rub all the caramelized juices back into the flesh. It's about getting as much flavor out of the process as you possibly can, okay? You can see lovely golden brown. Just do the sides quickly if you can, if you're brave enough. One more time, like that. Yes, heat off. Lay out your fig leaves, nice and quick, lamb out. Woo! Now, perfect. So take this pan off the heat. Whatever you do, please, 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 please don't wash this pan out. So we have our lamb over here. We're going to get a roasting tray out of our oven. And you need to remember which side the fat's on because we're going to cook it fat side down, okay? So I got my fig leaf over here. And they're like an open hand, right? So imagine that. The fig leaf's there. The lamb's there and you're going to close it round like that, okay? So I'm going to bring these leaves up, over like that, put another leaf on the point there, flip it back over into a nice neat little parcel, and one more leaf there, tuck it in under the sides. You're not trying to make it completely airtight because that's impossible. If you wanted to tie it with butcher's string, if you're feeling fancy, crack on, but we are cooking at home. So you have a lovely little parcel of lamb over here. You know what, already it smells amazing. Lamb in the oven, 10 minutes, I reckon. Okay guys, so our asparagus. I'm going to show you how we prep asparagus in the restaurant. And it's a great way of doing asparagus. It's super simple. It's all in the preparation of the asparagus and making sure your water is properly boiling and properly salted. Firstly, let's find out where to break your asparagus. It'll let you know. Apply pressure, and when it breaks, that's the point. So just continue the process. Obviously, it goes without saying, keeping these parts. You can make a little soup with them later on, or you could even slice them really finely and make a little slaw with your kohlrabi trimmings for a dish another day. So now we're going to clean the asparagus up, okay? So take our small paring knife, straighten off the bottom and remove all of these little spikes over here until you get right to the very top and you've got that beautiful silhouette of what an asparagus looks like. Then we're just going to make an incision around the base of the asparagus and peel that back. This helps the asparagus in the cooking process. Asparagus on my thumb like that, and we're just going to turn it like that until the incision meets back there, okay? Yeah. Then with your speed peeler, line up against the incision and peel back very gently all along until you have a beautiful spear of asparagus just like that. When you've done your asparagus, make sure you continue to check your lamb. It's still in the oven, needs to be basted. I'm just continuing to love this lamb. And you can see like that's just getting super, super good. This is pure lamb stock, so it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger as it goes back over the top and caramelizes again. You're just gonna have like lamb meltdown with this. It's just delicious, delicious, delicious. So I'm gonna check the lamb. That smells amazing. So let's just have a little test. Make sure he's doing the right thing. Now I'm touching it to my lip, just to gain a better understanding of where the temperature's at in the center of the meat. 2 more minutes, and I think he's there. That smell is incredible. So once again, sharp knife into the center of the lamb. You can peel back some of the fig leaves if you must. Yes, yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. That lamb is perfect. So, oh, it's so delicious. Right. So now what I want you to do is it's been on its fat side. We're going to flip it over and now leave it wrapped up in these beautiful fig leaves until he's ready to carve and serve, okay? So put that to one side. That's going to stay and be delicious, okay? The lamb shoulder a quick nappe. Whoa. Hello, mate. Now you can see that guy, woohoo, a bit spitty, but he is ready to go. That's going to be delicious. Crispy on the outside, moist, tender, juicy on the inside. Put him to one side. I'll show you what to do with him in a minute. Everything's starting to come together quite quickly, so we should probably pick up the pace. And we're going to start dealing with our pickled vegetables now. So we're just going to open up the bags. These vegetables have been lightly pickled. They're obviously from our farm. We've pickled them to preserve them for later months, and we thought now was a good time to use them up. So over here we've got some lovely beetroot. These don't need any cooking or anything. That flavour's delicious. What I want you to do, take a few little slices and pop them on a plate so you can use them later on, okay? Now the carrots. Just gonna wang those in half, okay? These are our first attempt at carrots. They didn't get going quite as quickly as we hoped, but they are beautiful in a pickle. One of our lovely calendula flowers. Pop that on the side, and a few of our little kohlrabi leaves as well. That's gonna be our little plate that we're gonna dress our lamb flatbread with, okay? We're just gonna flake off this lamb shoulder. Keep him in the pan, make sure he stays warm. Don't put it back through the oven. We want to keep all that lovely moisture in there. So just grab a spoon, a knife, or anything, and just shred it back down into the roasting pan. Perfect. Then you're just going to tear through it like that and try and mix the outer crusty bits with the internal soft juicy bits. And make sure you rub it against the bottom of the pan like that. That is a good noise. So all of those delicious caramelised juices go back into the lamb. So guys, we're going to go back to our kohlrabis and finish the garnish for the lamb rump, okay? So what I want you to do is lift out the lovely kohlrabis, put the pan on the heat, and you've got all this amazing butter in here now, which we're going to use to cook our chard. Just going to add a touch of vinegar to the pan, and that should boil together and make a nice little, like an emulsion sauce that we can cook our vegetables in, okay? Cooked. Always important, have a taste, make sure you're happy with what you cooked. That is so good. That is so good. We're just going to warm our chard in this lovely, lovely liquid. Nice and turnipy because of the kohlrabi or radishy. And just let it come together. You don't want to cook the chard too much. We just want to put a little bit of heat through it. It's so fresh, it's from our farm. You don't need to cook it for hours. Just get some heat in there, okay? So next we're just going to heat up our lamb sauce. What I want you to do, I don't want you to boil this or anything. Pop it into a bowl, pour some hot water over it and come back to it in a minute. The hot water will permeate the bag and heat up the sauce to a lovely temperature. So guys, now we're going to do the flatbread. We're nearly ready to plate up. This is the fun part, I like to think. So carefully open the dough, pop it out like that. And before we start adding flour, we're going to form it into a ball, okay? So over we go. Work it into a nice ball. Now, we're going to just add a bit of flour. Not too much when you're doing it, please. Now take a rolling pin or a wine bottle and just start rolling it as thin as you can go. Now, this is why we wanted the big pan. You can always make like a lamb pizza. This is a really big, exciting centerpiece of the dish, okay? So it's really worth enjoying this. Now, don't worry if you you want to cook it a little bit beforehand. Just as long as you keep it warm, it should be fine. But over here, I've got my pan that I cooked the lamb in, okay? So I'm going to pop it back on the heat. Give it a good old glug of olive oil. Get a spoon in there, move it around. Get all those crispy bits of lamb back into the oil. And then pop the fellow in. Whew! And hopefully we'll start seeing a few bubbles as the bread develops. Now you can flip it using a spatula, or you can be a complete dullard and try and flip it like a pancake. I know which one I'm going to do. Like that. There you go. Look at him. What a lovely, lovely, lovely thing. Same amount of cooking on the other side. Get all of those beautiful fats back into the bread. And we are having a great time over here. So I'm going to pop him on a roasting tray. Like that. Pop the pan over there. Water back on the high heat. Keep him in the oven warm so he's nice and good to work with. Over here, we've got our 2 bags, one of delicious lamb sauce, which is now piping hot, and one of beautiful fig leaf oil. So we're going to just take the corner of the lamb sauce off, put it into a sauce jug if you have one. Don't waste any of it, please. And then pop that there. We're going to do the fig leaf as well. Now this stuff really is magic. This is where the whole dish starts to make sense. Give it a mix up. That is one of the nicest sauces you'll ever have. Asparagus over here. We can make sure that is furiously boiling, okay? No more really salty water, really, really hot water. Asparagus, 30 seconds, no longer, okay? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so asparagus is nearly there. For me, this is the important process. Use the lid, lift it up, and when you lift the asparagus, pop it on the lid and just leave it for a second to steam dry. Place a napkin down, dry the asparagus off, and this is just so amazingly fresh, I don't think you can do anything else to it. The asparagus is ready to go. Let's go put everything else together on the table. I'm going to take the lamb out, unwrap it from these beautiful fig leaves. It just smells amazing. Now you'll look at your rump, pop these back in here, and you'll notice that the grains of the meat go along like that. Not there, but there. You can double check, follow the lines of the meat. We want to carve against those lines, okay? So we want to try and get 6 slices out of this whole rump. So with a sharp knife, a little bit of salt on the underside of the carved flesh. You can see the importance of resting it now. And just keep them over here. And we're going to gently just dress our dish now, okay?